I'm Ain. I will be explaining about Article 6, slavery and forced labour prohibited. According to Article 6, Sub-Article 1, no one shall be held in slavery or forced labour. Forced labour refers to an employment wherein the worker is compelled to work against his will and he is unable to leave such an abusive situation because of direct or indirect threat by his employer. From this definition, we could conclude that forced labour portray these following elements. Firstly, all work or service. This refers to any type of works and services, encompasses legal and formal employment as well as illegal and informal employment. Secondly, any person. It refers to adults and children regardless of nationality, including undocumented migrant workers. Thirdly, the menace of a penalty person. This refers to the threat of penal sanction or loss of rights, which include various forms of coercion. And lastly, involuntariness. It refers to the free and informed consent of a worker to enter or continue in an employment. Next, Article 6, Sub-Article 2, provided that Parliament may by law provide for compulsory service for national purposes, for example, PLKN or known as Program Latihan Khidmat Negara. Next, Article 6, Sub-Article 3, provided that work or service required from any person as a consequences of a conviction or finding of guilt in a court or of law shall not be taken to be forced labour. For example, the criminals usually would be enforced to do community work in prison. This is as a remedy for the crime he commits enforced by the law. Lastly, Article 6, Sub-Article 4, provided that an employee who works for the government doesn't have the right to demand whenever he was asked to do something unexpected. For example, a teacher who was originated in Pahang was asked to be transferred to an isolated district in Sarawak. He or she doesn't have the right to argue based on the reason why he works for the government. So for the next point, I will pass to my friend.
So I will continue about Article 11, which is about freedom of religion. In Article 3, Clause 1 of Malaysian Constitution, it has been stated that Islam is recognized as the official religion of Malaysia and other religions can be peacefully practiced in any territory of the Federation. And then Article 11, Clause 1 adds that every person has the right to profess and to practice his or her religion and subject to applicable laws restricting the propagation of other religions to Muslims to propagate it. It means that every person is being allowed to practice any religions like Buddha, Hindu, Christian, and so on, but Islam will still be recognized as the official religion of Malaysia. And then Article 11 Clause 2 stated that no person shall be compelled to pay any tax, the proceeds of which are specially allocated in whole or in part for the purpose of a religion other than his own. This statement means that a person will not be required to involve in the tax payment regarding to other religions matters. And also, Article 11 Clause 3 stated that every religious follower is granted the right to practice the religion, manage religious foundations, and amass wealth. For example, they can organize the founding of religious association, they can attending mass gatherings, building of shrines, they can organize founding of educational institution and also forming of welfare bodies. And then Article 11 Clause 4 stated that state's law and in respect of the federal territories of Kuala Lumpur and Labuan, federal law may control or restrict the propagation of any religious doctrine or belief among persons professing the religion of Islam. It shows that other religions are restricted to propagate their belief among the Muslims. But some of states do not take serious action towards these matters. The example of case that can be related to this article is case Azlina Jailani, or also known as Lina Joy case. Lina Joy is a person who is a Malay, then she convert to Christian. And the last one is Article 11, Clause 5, which stated that this article does not authorize any act contrary to any general law relating to public order, public health, or morality. It means that any act that opposes the general law that related to the three matters is not allowed at all in this article.
Explain about Article 12, right in prospect of education. According to Article 12, Clause 1, Paragraph A, there should be no any discrimination against races, religions, or place of birth in terms of the admission of pupils and also the payment of fees. However, there is an exemption on Article 153, Clause 8A, whereby the YDPA have right to ensure the reservations of college, university, or any other education institutions to the Bumiputras. For examples, UiTM. UiTM is one of the universities that have majority Malay and also the Bumiputra, because their early objective is to help Malay and Bumiputra out of poverty. However, from now on, we can also see other races as well, which is Chinese and Indian. Next, we refer to Article 12, Clause 1, Paragraph B, whereby it stated that there should be no any discrimination in providing fund from public financial aid to any education institution in Malaysia. There is a case law regarding a plaintiff named Muhammad Khairul Azam and two defendants, Minister of Education and also Malaysian governments. The plaintiff filed a case to the federal courts that stated SJKT and SJKC is inconsistent with our constitutions because they do not use Bahasa Melayu as the intermediate language, and therefore they do not eligible to receive fund as stated in Belanjawan 2020. However, within a month, Federal Court released their decision and stated that to form such school is within Parliament power, therefore they have rights to receive any funds from the public, which is from government as stated in Belanjawan 2020. Even though SJKT and SJKC majority are Chinese and Indians, but they also have right to receive fund from our government besides Sekolah Kebangsaan and also Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan. Next, I will explain about the Article 12, Clause 2, whereby each religious has the right to establish their own education institution, especially for the early educations. Therefore, in Malaysia, we can see various types of preschool, such as for Islamic, we have Little Khalifs, for Christian, we have Tadika St. Mary. However, there is exemption whereby it should be lawful for the Federation or state to give extra funds to the Islamic educational institution compared to other religious education institutions.
Assalamualaikum madam, my name is Nur Atika binti Ruslan. Last but not least, I will present about the Article 13 of Federal Constitution, which is right to property. Clause 1 states that no person shall be deprived of property save in accordance with the law, while the second clause states that no law shall provide for the compulsory acquisitions of use of property without adequate compensations. Property here does not only refer to land and real property, it also refers to movable properties. Moving on to the examples on how a person can be deprived of his property is as follows. The first example is the government wish to gain a private property for public purposes. Then it should give satisfactory compensations to the owner of the property according to the Article 13, Clause 2. The second example is an individual that owes the others money and is either reluctant to pay or unable to pay. Then the other party at the point when the judgment can't be fulfilled, whether he rejects or can't pay, then the bank can hold onto the property having a place with him according to the law. The third example is the property is dependent upon a criminal investigation or prosecution. One genuine model would be the Dangerous Drugs Act. 1988, which is a Malaysian law that ordered to make arrangements for offences comparable to property and for the seizure of property that associate with the actions identified with offences under this Act or any related to this Act. To conclude this presentation, Article 5 to 13 of the Federal Constitution sets out the 9 fundamental liberties that every Malaysian ought to know. So we must educate ourselves and people around us about the rights that we all entitled to as a citizen. Thank you.